and we are back at it again. You know who it is. It's Frankly Football. I'm your humble co-host, Brandon, and I got my main man, 100 Grand, with me.
What's going on, man? Set it off in the building, man. We're always trying to do our thing to put this content out, man. I know
That's
if
right.
you slid by here, you've had the notification hit off, and you saw we're out there, go ahead and hit the like, man. Hit the subscribe button so you can see the content we're putting out. Working on different things right now. But what you want to rock with tonight, Brandon?
So today, and we just talked about this, this is the bad and the worst of labor representation. Over the past couple days, things have happened, and really this is the past 2 days. Things have happened in regards to two players who happen to wear the star on their helmet, the same star right here. The first being Dak Prescott. We all know that Dak clearly had his troubles with contract negotiation. And I won't say Dak. Dak's agent, Todd France, who was previously employed by CAA. Don't ask me what the acronym stood for.
Right.
But Todd France had his issues with negotiating contracts, particularly for one Dak Prescott. And now Todd France is out of a job.
Yeah, Todd is pretty much working with, I'm walking in the room and I'm not budging on negotiating. And negotiations of anything, if anybody's negotiated a car, dealing with a house, it's some give and take.
Yes.
Todd wants to walk in with hey, I'm bottom line, I'm not giving any leeway. But in this situation, and if somebody had asked a question on Twitter, make sure you get an opportunity to follow us on Twitter at Frankly Football Frankly Football with the last L being a 1. And they asked, who do you blame in this situation with the negotiations? Do you blame the Joneses? Do you blame Todd France, or do you blame Rain? And one of my responses was, I blame all three.
Yes.
Okay? And just follow me on this.
Okay.
I blame the Joneses for, one, how they approached it. They walked into this negotiation saying, Rain, you got to give us a discount. After working 4 years at a job at minimum wage scale prices, you're going to have to give us another discount. Now, all of us know we done worked the job. When we start out, we're the new guy on the block. Hey, I'm going to take the pay cut. I just want to get in the door. I'm proved that I'm a steady, loyal worker. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go from mopping the floors to doing the lettuce. Then I'm going to the fries. And that's where the big bucks is at. He done waited to get to the fries, man. And they come back out and say, hey, man, you're going to have to cut off some tomatoes and onions in the back because we ain't going to pay you the money for the fries. That's wrong by the Joneses, in my opinion. In my opinion.
I'm with you. I promise, I swear.
My problem with Todd France is coming in saying, I'm not budging. And I want my representation not to be pushovers, because when you're negotiating something that you don't deal with, if you ever get an opportunity, like with Brandon's great with cars. He's great with cars and doing stuff with, doing paints and doing things. And that's his deal. That's what he loves to do. Me on the other hand, I deal with finance. I know how to make those numbers work and things of that nature. So I want to deal with a guy who knows what they're doing, and that's his expertise. Since I don't do cars, I'm not going to come and tell Brand, hey, B, I think you need to put this polymer with this kind of base. He's going to look at you, hey, man, go over there and sit down somewhere. Go sit down, man. This ain't what you do.
In the same way that I'm not going to tell you how to crunch some numbers.
Right. I'm not going to tell you to do that. So that's why I put Todd at the fault. He came in there hardlining, but he already knew how the Joneses were. But my last part, I put it on Rain, because at the end of the day, Todd works for him. And at the end of the day, he got to work with Steven and Jerry. Yes. So he should have, and then we had talked about it before, understanding the climate that he's in. Hey, listen, I'm in a position here that, one, we got this situation with COVID. I'm where I want to be at, where I want to work at. And if I win here, I'm legendary.
That's right.
Forever. I elevate. He wins here. Let's look at it like this. if Reign wins a Super Bowl here, he elevates right under Roger for this generation of Cowboy fans. Because most Cowboy fans don't remember Troy Aikman. I do, and I remember Roger Staubach, right? Most folks remember Tony Romo here because they've gone through this 25-year drought.
So
Come
thirsty.
on.
So thirsty. Come on now.
Want to taste victory.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, he wins here on this platform with the way social media is now, he's legendary. And so we go back and say, because of who CAA is and who they are, and they deal with advertising, they deal with movies, they deal with all these different things, he booms himself in the market outside of football. So him understanding all the opportunities he gets with CAA, he should have came in and said, listen, I know I want a 4-year deal, but I don't plan on playing nowhere else anyway. I want to be able to get back in and get this TV revenue money. But understanding that the way the world is with COVID, and we're going to take a hit on the money, maybe not 1, maybe 2 years. And once that TV money kicks back in, I'll still be in the window. I'll take the 5. You follow me? So there's enough blame across the board. So I think that's where I sit in. What you think, bro?
I think that, and I'm gonna start off with France's situation with Dak, and then I'm gonna kind of expand on that. I think that Todd France, severing ties with CAA or vice versa, really shows that they believe that he dropped the ball in terms of his representation of his clients. And this isn't just that. Todd France had, had 3 big name players all end up on the tag this offseason, being one Dak Prescott, Bud Dupree, and Justin Simmons.
Safety for the Denver Broncos.
Yes,
right?
Amazing safety. Safety. I love him. So if you have those 3 guys not get long-term deals, you cost that company millions of dollars.
And not just, and these weren't just borderline players. Every guy you named was all 3 of those guys were ascending players. They were all ascending players to the point that their best football was ahead of them. So they deserve to be paid. Right. Yes. They deserve to be paid. But there had to be some kind of some middle ground in negotiations.
Yes. So I think that Todd France's attitude, like you said, his no bend, no break attitude really ended up costing him in the long term. And that makes me begin to question in terms of a Dak Prescott situation. Did Dak Prescott push back against those numbers as much as we initially thought he did?
Man, that's a great question. And the only way that's going to be answered is who he has following up next. If he gets Tom Condon or Jimmy Sexton as his new agent, if he doesn't leave CAA, which I don't believe he will, and he has those guys come in, whoever he gets to represent him is still going to be to the point they're going to be a big hitter.
Absolutely.
They're not going to cut him. They're going to have to come and negotiate a deal that's going to be comparable to what he's going to be able to get. Because now, because of the tag he signed and understanding the field, the landmine the Cowboys just jumped into, we're still looking at $45 million a year next year. And I'm talking about it's $45 million win or lose.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to dispute the numbers, we did it in a previous video.
Yes, sir.
31 this year, 37, 38 next year, 54 year 3. Now, I know so many people looking at it, no way in the world you're paying them 54. Well, that's what the tag is going to say. So he has it where you're going to be to the point this year, he goes on 31. You have a great year, which we already expect, and we're going to do our predictions. But I've already said before, I'm on record, I'm looking at double-digit wins. I'm looking at deep run into the playoffs. You know, if you get that,
Hey
he's
man,
going to
we
warrant.
undefeated until I'm always gonna think we undefeated until somebody beat us.
Tell me somebody
But
beat us. I'm
yeah,
with you. Right.
but continue.
So,
I'm sorry.
right. Yeah, I'm with you all the way. That's why you my guy. So you have a great year. You make the playoffs, especially in this environment. You're going to turn around. Boom. He walks in next year. Hey, listen, this is what I want. But now I go from wanting $70 million within the first 2 years. That's what you ended up getting paid. Now I want 38 and 54, right? Let's do the numbers. It's 90.
38, 54. Yeah, that's 90.
45.
Yep.
45. So
Yeah.
now I want 45 a year. So what he was asking for puts him in the wheelhouse. And with all the pieces you have around it, and the way this, and then you'll turn around next year, because this will be the projection. You'll turn around next year. Now you get a whole full season. You get a whole off season. You get a whole training camp. Man, if they made a run like this, imagine getting all that chance to get more time underneath the system, and boom. But I regress. You're still going to be, it's still a mathematical problem.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be how much he loves the Dallas Cowboys, how much he loves playing here, that's going to dictate how this contract runs. And what the cap is going to be. If the cap is going to stay flat, right? If they're going to spread that loss over a couple of years, this was a huge. They jumped into a tank full of sharks with piranhas, and ain't none of them ate in a long time. They're in trouble right now.
Absolutely,
they're in trouble. Because
now I will say one thing that you did not mention. How much his next agent wants to not flop this deal again. That's the one thing that you didn't mention.
It was never about flopping the deal. This year should have been taken care of beforehand. This majority of this goes back on the Joneses for not signing him into year 3. Before going into that offseason, you went to that offseason, you made the playoffs. You should have had this thing signed before golf, before Wentz. You saw what he did. You saw him get the wide receiver. You saw him, boom, explode, sign him. You should have had an offer on the table when you left LA. As disappointed as you were in that game, you should have had an offer on the table. You say, listen, guess what? We're going to sign Amari. If anything, we're going to sign you, and we're going to make Amari prove it.
Absolutely.
We're going to make Amari prove it.
Absolutely.
We can franchise tag him. We ain't got to worry about the big hit if we franchise tag you. This is a huge hit on their part. But going back to with the agent, him playing hardball, he has his fault. The Joneses had their fault, and Dak has their fault.
Yes, sir.
But at the end of the day, that's a bad way of them doing business in that. Okay? But the ugly part of it is how they handling my boy Randy Gregory.
Here we go. So this was just last night, I believe. It was either last night or on the 9th. Randy Gregory suddenly tweets out, and I'm going to quote him. Folks, I've been asking my rep for the NFLPA for correspondence regarding my case for reinstatement / his advocacy for me. And this was his response. And the response was him blocking Randy Gregory. Note, this was after 3 emails I sent him. So Randy Gregory's representative, his liaison, Joe Briggs.
Esquire.
Yes, Esquire.
Hey man, how do you, you know, you're a more fluent guy than me. You know, how do you get the Esquire attached to your name? That's kind of like a cool moniker. So how do I get Esquire? I mean, what do I got to do to be an Esquire?
Probably gotta have an
MBA.
MBA.
Like, fill out some paperwork.
Probably gotta have an MBA. Go to school. You know.
Oh, that's what it is.
Probably.
Okay.
You know.
I that was some, like a rap name, like, set it off, do it right. I mean, I didn't
set
have to
off,
put
Chris
no paperwork.
Esquire.
Yeah, Esquire. Yeah, that's what I'm going.
Hey,
I'm
man.
I'm gonna do that. Yeah, set it off, Chris Esquire. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this sounds real snazzy. Kind of catchy. Want to kick you with.
And it sounds like somebody that really does their job right. Correct?
Well. Joe. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about him doing his job.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Keep talking. Why you say that, my friend?
Because his response to that was, really? Okay. Instead of, hey, Randy, let me call you. Hey, Randy, respond to my DM. Hey, Randy,
Right.
let me unblock you.
You know, I think the biggest problem where Randy's on Randy's side, because this is really ugly, and it goes back how the NFLPA has always been perceived by the players as well as the public, and because
I don't think there's any perception. I think that the NFLPA is probably the worst sport players union in all of sports.
Yeah, of all of them, they are according to the public. Yeah. If you look at it, they're the worst. You know, the NBA is the strongest. Well, I want to say the NBA is the one that works most with their players. I think baseball is the strongest, and
Yes, sir.
in the NFL is probably the weakest because they fold all the time. But
Yes.
for a guy who has for the last 2 years been suspended from the league, basically under really murky, kind of colluded, not really clear why he's not in the league. Hey, we understand Randy smokes weed for his anxiety. Randy says, hey, I have issues in this world that the use of marijuana helps me calm down, helps me cope, and that's fine. And medical, whatever it is, that's what I do. I don't do anything else off the field. You don't have any DUIs, out at bars fighting, no domestic issues. I just like to have a little bit of sticky or the icky to keep me balanced. And now that the league has gone ahead and said, I only need to have it, the amount you're going to monitor me for is this. Why am I not reinstated when my man Alden is back in the league? When you're still looking to bring back the wide receiver who played with the Browns that went
Antonio Brown. No, not Antonio Brown. Oh God, Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon's talking about being reinstated for like the 4th time after he just stayed popping pills and doing all kinds of stuff. So he's saying what's going on. And so for the young Esquire to turn around and try to do his talking in social media, I think that's where Randy is wrong how he brought it, but that's this generation's day and age of how they handle it.
Absolutely.
I can't get him to respond to me this way. I can't have, and see, here's the bad part. I can't have contact with the team because the team can't sit up and ask about it.
Absolutely.
So I'm out here by myself. My agent is trying to reach you. You ain't reaching back to me. So the only way I can get the response I want, I got to get the masses. I got to get the cowboy hive to jump down your throat and say you're doing a terrible job.
Yes, that's right. Now it all comes down to this. Randy, as a client of the NFLPA, doesn't have certain ethical responsibilities that he has to abide by. Under the umbrella of the law, anyway. His representative, though, does. There's something called the duty of fair representation. It's 10 bylaws per se that he does have to abide by. The first 2 of which is 1, the duty to represent all unit employees, and 2, the duty to negotiate on behalf of all unit employees.
Man, first off, let me just, hey man, this is what you get when you come to Frankly Football. You just don't get 2 cats just rambling. We're gonna give you some insight into understanding how to work these things in the NFL, and understand the parameters in which these guys are working. But preach on there, litigate a little bit there for me, Mr. Hart.
And so it doesn't say you have a duty to represent them until you get tired of them. No, it doesn't say that. So if he in any form or fashion does not allow communication from his client, then he is violating in some form or fashion the duty of fair representation. And he
Absolutely.
opens up the NFLPA to legal action.
And so now that puts another black eye on the NFLPA. Because the
Yes.
way it looks like it's going, for Randy to get to the field, he's got to go to court to litigate why they're not helping him get there. Which, in this point, it really hurts Randy.
Absolutely.
Hurts him so much
Because it
because
takes time in an
missing,
already shortened offseason.
yes, invaluable time he could be getting on in the facility, getting acclimated to the defense, get acclimated to everything that's going on with the team, and by him being fraudulent in doing his job, as you just stated, it cost him. So now thinking about that even more, that gives Randy even more reason to be agitated and aggravated about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is, if we thought that Todd Francis' situation was bad, to kind of bring it all home, this is the worst, because you have your representation refusing to represent you. And it does not look good.
A guy that you pay, a guy that the players inside the union, they pay dues, part of their check, part of their contract. They pay the NFLPA to have representation, to have them talk to the league for them. So I've spent my money for a lawyer, but now my lawyer don't want to show up. My lawyer don't want to return my phone calls.
Ouch.
My lawyer want to leave me in limbo. That's like having a public defender who says, "Hey, I'm going to trial for my life tomorrow, but I ain't gonna call you I ain't gonna talk to you till the day before, hours before we go to the courtroom." It's piss poor management.
Absolutely, man. It's a rough situation. Of course, my heart goes out to him, not only because he's a Cowboy, but because he deserves the opportunity to play, given the new circumstances that surround the league.
Anybody who would go through this, anybody who deals with mental health, let no one take for granted about mental health being one of the most overlooked diseases or health problems in America, that over the last 5 to 7 years, or well, maybe 10 years, have really got a lot of people looking at it, overlooked. And so this guy's already said out the gate, listen, I'm not a terrible person. I just need this to help me cope. And now that the world has kind of came to the back to say, okay, it's not a tier 1, it's still a tier 1 drug, but we can regulate it. It's always been to the point, if we can get our tax money on it, we're going to do it. Fine. Let the guy get back, especially
Absolutely.
if I'm paying you to represent me.
Absolutely. And I think that's where we can end it at, man. I feel like that's a good end to that book.
Yeah, man. And the better ending will be getting 94 in the field and having that joker come off the right side, because he fall out of bed and he get 4 sacks.
Exactly.
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that till he can't play no more. Randy Gregory fall out the bed and get 4 sacks.
Like it's nothing.
Like it's Nathan.
Exactly.
That's it, man.
If y'all haven't already, please take the time to like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Honestly, I'm confused why you're not subscribed already.
That's right.
And if you have any comments, concerns, disagreements, agreements, leave them in the comment section. Communicate
throw
with
it in there, man. We'll definitely get back at you, man. And we'll be ready to lock this thing up again, man.
That's right. This has been another episode of Frankly Football. I'm Brandon.
Hey, man, I'm setting off Chris, man.
Peace.
Peace.